Welcome to Simplifying Test Automation with Codeless Tools and Visual AI with Nikhil Nigam. Nikhil is a solution-oriented professional with degrees in engineering and business administration. He has more than 15 years of experience in architecting, designing, and developing software solutions for various organizations, including Westpac, Fuji Xerox, PwC, Chevron, and many others in Australia. Currently, Nikhil is the head of pre-sales APAC at Applitools, where he works with IT teams from diverse industry backgrounds. His passions include problem solving and learning the latest technologies around AI and ML. He combines this with his expertise to help customers achieve their digital transformation goals by modernizing their software development and testing practices.
Thanks. I guess first I'll introduce myself, but let's look at what is the whole result from the question. Wow. So I guess most of them have answered around lack of prioritization for test automation. Great. And equally alike, I think people have also answered around, the automation experts being one of the limitation, lack of skilled resources, haven't identified appropriate tools. They are all relevant obstacles to automation, and definitely we'll try to address this during this webinar today. So before I dive into the today's webinar, Pam already introduced me. Thanks for that, Pam. But I'll just reiterate that I have been through a journey into this whole software, programming, software's release, etc. For the last 15 years, since when I did my computer science engineering degree, and I have been into various roles in different capacity across different organizations, right? And when I was working mainly around consulting, professional services, project delivery, in the enterprise integration, business process management domains, and again, this role that I'm doing at the moment excites me because it basically allows me to solve the problems for the customers specific to automation. Now, I have been part of the big and small teams delivering mission critical systems, and one theme has consistently popped up across all types of software and systems was how to make it better and robust for the end users. And equally alike, how we can help the workforce deliver more efficient software systems with lesser effort and offering more robustness to the quality process. And this is going to be the topic for today. In my earlier stints, I have been part of automation and testing, even being as a developer. And it is one space which has diverse set of problems, mainly due to the diverse range of applications to be tested, isn't it? So in today's webinar, we will address how in the new world automation has been shaped up and adopted by various organizations, what is the role of visual AI, and how it can make the whole testing process better to deliver the quality we needed. And I will also walk you through certain codeless solutions I have created using the visual AI and popular scriptless frameworks to solve customers' use cases, which has helped them deliver the outcomes more efficiently. So what I want to, start with is, even in the last 6 to 7 years, what we have seen in the, in the digital world, that now the brand and the user experience, they are becoming synonymous. Now, every end user recognizes your, brand based on the user experience they get it digitally, right? So it is even more important than before to have a very consistent user experience across the different channels, isn't it? So earlier, maybe 10 years ago, you were accessing these things on maybe one set of browser through one particular channel, but in the last 10 years itself, this has quadrupled already, if you look at the stats. So I want to post a question before I show you what actually the user experience means, that in your organizations, how much is the importance of testing the user experience today? A lot of people think that this is somewhat important. Some of them, at least one third of them have said why it is quite important. I'm glad that nobody said that it's not important, because everybody, I think, recognizes that the brand for any organization is to be recognized with their digital experience. Whatever the customer sees, however they interact with user experience, with their apps, everything matters now, right? And it basically is a make or break for a lot of organizations in the competitive world as well. So earlier, when we used to address this thing about 10, 15 years ago, we were always talking about UI. Okay, the UI should look good. It should basically, appeal to the customers, end users, but not anymore. We are talking about user experience. It's about the perspective. How does the user becomes more engaged within the application so that they are, the business is getting the benefit out of converting them into their own customers or selling them their products. And again, different domains have different things to sell or different or services to offer. So accordingly, they would want to shape up their customer experience in a way that it is easier for their customers to, to get around with the applications that they have delivered, right? So not anymore, we are only just looking at the UI. We are also talking about the user experience, which is some combination of the UI as well as the consistency across these applications, whether they are being accessed in one environment or whether they are being accessed across different environments. Now, traditionally, if you would have noticed, different organizations have been able to, in the last, 20 odd years, this whole development process has already matured. So different organizations are doing things in their own capacity as per their maturity. Some of them are writing the code, then they are doing code reviews, merging, then doing some testing and pushing it to the customers. Specifically startups, they want to be very, very fast. Traditional companies are doing a more comprehensive QA where they are, going from one environment, jumping onto another. Whether they are doing, again, in a automated way or manually, they are basically delivering in more of a, from one environment to another, they release and then they basically ship the software to the production. Large tech companies, again, tech companies have a bit of advantage because they know the technology much better. They have made it more easier, so they want to do it faster at the same time, cut down the repetitive tasks. So they have sort of enabled their whole pipeline, CI/CD processes set up. So give or take, all of the organizations are trying to improve their whole quality release process. And why I say quality release, because it's not just about coding and, just running the code. It is the quality has become everybody's responsibility now, whether it's from the developers or to the testers. So hence, it is more important for these organizations, or each organization, in fact, to deliver something which is, quality inbuilt. So they have to address the problem of how are they going to test these applications in a very robust way. And not just that, they want to be efficient with this, because we have seen that in the end, when, using either the manual approach or the traditional automation, a lot of, work is wasted because we have to constantly feed back into the automation that we have created. And it is mainly because, first of all, we require, high skills for the experts. We need resources which have those sort of skills. It requires a significant investment. Now, even with the matching the pace with the development, it is not that easy to create the automation in the traditional world, right? And so a lot of organizations revert back to either manual testing or they have not set up the automation more efficiently for them. And we have seen that even at most of the places, customer experience has been neglected. So it is not even catered into the current automation, because there is a lot of, already there is a lot of bar into how we can get to that position where we are delivering software very efficiently, minimizing the whole testing cycle, isn't it? So although the test automation frameworks are very flexible, they have a better ability to handle dynamic applications, have greater control in terms of assertion, scenarios to be tested. We have noticed that traditional automation doesn't match this pace of development, and script based frameworks are a little bit costly and the time it takes to, even customize automation frameworks are sometimes difficult to scale and limited in the scope. So that's why we are, some of the organizations today have moved away from codeless, scripted frameworks or traditional automation frameworks. Not to say that that's not useful, it is still the go-to approach, but because they are non-technical in nature, they want to do something which is more efficient for their workforce. They wanted to use more codeless tools. So when we, introduce the subject of codeless, it is again a very wide subject, and it has come a long way from its inception. So codeless testing, as the name implies, refers to an approach where test cases are automated with a minimum of code or probably no code, right? The aim is to save time of testers in coding the functionality and focusing more on the business scenarios. Now, this should bring the quality through an optimal test coverage, right? And, if you look at some of the next generation codeless test automation tools, they are although leveraging still the record and playback, but unlike the legacy tools that record static test cases, codeless tools are now equipped with a little bit more of machine learning and AI capabilities, which provide reusability, stability, and minimal test maintenance, resulting into the lower training and maintenance costs, right? So as a result, there is an easier handover and shorter learning curve. It does match with the pace of development by not wasting time on a lot more complex coding practices. Scaling is a bit more easier, and lower maintenance is obviously one advantage that you get out of that. But in terms of, I'll come to the challenges of these automation tools. But what I have seen that a lot of these tools are inherently still in terms of improving how we script a particular automation. How do we make it easier to automate certain things? But in terms of the challenges, there are a lot of challenges still with codeless tools. So before I go into the challenges that what I have seen, I want to again ask a question that if you have used certain codeless tools in your organization or have some experience, which are those tools which you have already used? Great. So as I suspected, Selenium IDE is one of the very good record and playback tool, and it allows you to easily create the tests and in a record and playback fashion, which is easier for even the manual testers to create. Very true. Tosca is another one. I think it's an enterprise tool, and it's been used, in APAC. I've seen a lot of organizations using it, in fact, and Katalon as well, specifically in the Asian market. I've seen a lot of companies are relying on the Katalon. There are some other tools as well. I saw Perfecto Scriptless as well being one of the good tools around codeless. So yes, I guess I see that people have familiarity with this tool. So this will make it more easier for me to put the concept through. So I hope you'll agree that even though these codeless tools do the work a bit more efficiently now, we are not requiring a lot of code to be written, but there is still a gap of handling dynamic applications, right? Now, when I say dynamic applications, there are of various natures, and they could be even mobile applications, they could be web applications, or any different type of application, right? Now, even with codeless tools, there is not the assertions still are not very, very easy to perform. Like, even if you want to do a lot of assertions, then you have to keep on constantly adding those things, into the script, and validating the user interface and user experience is still not being addressed into this. Now, some of the tools, although are warming up to cross-browser support, but I see that is still at a very nascent stage. It is not robust or seamless in a way that you can scale it up very quickly and delivering everything in a very easy to adopt way as well. One other, from my experience, what I've seen is some of these tools are not easy to, customize. And we know that even though, the codeless tools can offer, a way to automate things, create scripts easily, but a lot of applications will actually require some level of customization before they can be actually used. And even if you want to put it in a continuous integration CI/CD scenario, there is some sort of a limitation that I have seen a number of organizations still struggle with. One other thing that I have experienced is still the ability to address a wide variety of use cases. For example, accessibility testing is not being addressed with some of these tools, right? And other use cases around the end-to-end testing. So again, I want to put forward that when I sort of looked at this problem with my customers, again, working in Applitools, I get to talk to a lot of different customers across this region. And we sort of understood that even though they are using the codeless tool and the organization already has, incorporated or given a direction to how we want to take up the automation in the organization, they still are struggling with getting the benefits out of it. And that's where I thought, how the visual AI, which is the capability of Applitools, how it can actually help to improve the whole automation and deliver the right results, what the organization is eventually looking for. Because why we adopt a codeless tool is mainly to save on timing and also on resources, because technical resources are very costly, right? And the infrastructure as well. So why not make it more efficient? Now with visual AI, the way it works, I'll just take a minute to explain, is it basically looks at the user interface like a human eye would do. And it finds out the relevant issues between an expected outcome and a real outcome, and it checks everything in a way that there are no false positives and has a 99.99% accuracy. It's one of the first implementation of AI into visual testing. So apart from not just just comparing this, the AI itself has the capability to handle dynamic content. So if the content is moving up and down, shifting, or there is constant change of data on your applications, it is able to address those sort of challenges and still be able to test the relevant things. In terms of shifting content as well, equally alike, it can handle those sort of things. I'm not going to specific features about AI. I want to show you really how we have combined the solution and solutions with scriptless and delivered for the organization. So I'll just take in a few minutes time, I'll show you some demo. But in broadly, the AI has a smart capability of being able to look at different use cases, and accordingly, it is able to address different areas of concerns within your whole user interface, which eventually leads to the user experience, right? So again, when I want to show you some of the demos today, that some of the solutions that I have personally created and worked with the customers, but I want to know from you, what are some of the main challenges that you have faced if you have used a codeless tool? Again, I showed you some challenges, but you may have some of your own, so please please give some inputs here. Tests are flaky. That's interesting, and undoubtedly that is one of the major problems with any automation, which is why a lot of test results are inconsistent. So it's a very good pick up by those who have answered. This is one of the major challenges, and even difficult to customize. I completely agree with that, because even when I was implementing some of the codeless solutions, I found that in most of the scenarios, it was difficult to implement just because I cannot completely cover the end-to-end scenario there. And that's where we thought about how we can combine the AI and how it can basically provide for the right coverage and increase the coverage, along with addressing some of the challenges using the AI itself instead of completely coding for it, right? So Again, we can use the AI with a codeless framework or a script-based framework, but today I'm going to show you some specifics around how we can deliver this for the codeless testing. So first of all, having a codeless framework will improve the efficiency. It will improve your ability to create the scripts faster. But AI will allow you to give a better coverage of your application from a user's interface, from a user's point of view. And then we have got the cross-browser testing, which is another product which is offered by Applitools, which allows you to scale up these tests easily into different environments. Remember, I talked about we have to test these applications across devices and browsers today. It is not sufficient that you test it on merely one environment and say, okay, this is going to work, because you don't know how the customer is interacting with your application. So why don't we combine all of these things and then sort of see how it can actually enhance the whole process. So what I did for today is I have taken 3 different use cases here. One is about the web testing, and the AI itself is kind of technology agnostic. So what I did was I have combined the web testing with Tosca, which is, I guess some of the people have already selected that they know about Tosca, but it's again a scriptless tool by Tricentis, and how we have enabled even the cross-browser testing in one shot. It's in an easy way. Then I have a second scenario where I am trying to do a mobile native app testing using a Katalon. So those who are familiar with Katalon will be able to understand this, that how we can, again, include visual AI into their existing tests created by Katalon, and use the power of AI to compare how the screens are created and delivered to the end users. And then I have got a special use case of document testing, which I'll talk about after this. So let's look at first the Tosca integration. Today, I will show you how you can integrate your existing Tosca test with Applitools AI, as well as leverage Applitools ultra-fast grid to perform cross-browser testing. To perform this integration, I'm using Tosca 13.2 version, along with Applitools IDE extension for Chrome browser. And also, I have to install the custom Applitools SET that has been developed specifically for this integration. For this demo, I'm using the transportnsw.info website. Using the SET, we have to import the following 3 modules. First is IDE Open. For setting up the connection with Applitools, using this module, you can define your app name, test name, and additional browsers plus device combinations to test on the ultra-fast grid. The second one is ICE Check. This is to perform the UI test on a given page. This module can take region or full page screenshots of your page. The last one is ICE Close. This is to close the Applitools test as well as publish the test results. Now, I have pre-recorded my automated test using Tosca, where I'm navigating to the home page and then going to regions page, followed by the live traffic page in my test flow. For this test case, the test configuration will be as per shown on the screen. Note that you need to update your API key as well as the Applitools cloud URL. Going back to the test case, as you can see, I have just included Applitools modules in my recorded test flow. Here, I am providing the app name, test name, browsers, and other configuration. Thus, I have included one ICE Open and ICE Close at the start and end respectively. And based on my navigation, I have included ICE Check, and my test is ready to run. Now we will run the test case as usual on Tosca. As part of this test, Applitools modules will send details to the AI, where the test will be performed and results returned at the end of Tosca test. If you go to Applitools dashboard, you will see that the latest run has been compared with the baseline, and Applitools is able to report on the UI bugs on each screen. You will also notice that based on the environment configurations provided, Applitools ultra-fast grid automatically shows each page in different viewports for browsers and devices. Thus, you can perform seamless cross-browser testing without any additional infrastructure or tools. So I hope here in this solution we're working with for customers, and we sort of try to address their coverage as well as being able to do this easily. Now, with AI, it's all about few steps. One is you have to connect with the AI, then you are able to integrate that application with AI. Now, we developed a custom SET is specific to Tosca, which is again available publicly, and anybody can just download it and use it in their Tosca test. And what you will be doing is it will allow that application to be interacted with the AI and send off all the screenshots, snapshots of the application back to AI, where the testing happens. And it also allows you to configure the cross-browser test along with the same, in the same test. Now, the benefit is that you don't need to have those environments separately running on your side, whether it is, running on one browser or 50 browsers, doesn't matter. So in the same test, you're able to deliver both and scale this testing up and down as you would need to. Now, this is a web kind of a application which was automated with Tosca. Tosca itself does a number of different use cases. So we'll now look at another use case of native app testing, which is again very popular these days because in almost every other organization has its own app development, and they would want always to have a more efficient release process around their native apps as well. So here I actually did one with Katalon, which is another very popular as well as efficient tool for codeless, scriptless automation. So let's look at this demo.
Hello, everyone. Today, I will show you how you can simplify visual testing of your mobile native application using Applitools' next-generation visual AI capabilities with Katalon. For those who are not familiar with Katalon, Katalon is a powerful automated testing platform that offers a comprehensive set of features designed to implement fully automated testing solutions for Windows, mobile, and web applications. It is built as a unified bundle, which includes almost all necessary things like Java, Android SDK, web drivers to drive browsers and required dependencies. Under the hood, it uses the ability of Selenium and Appium libraries for automation, which are both pre-installed in the tool. To perform this integration, ensure the following exists. Have a valid Applitools IDE account for running visual tests. Download the Katalon Studio, which is a free tool. Ensure Appium is connected to Katalon, and ensure Gradle is installed on your system using the terminal or command line. In my case, I have installed Gradle using Brio on Mac. Now let's create a project with a Gradle build. In the first case, let's build a sample mobile app automation using Katalon. Here, I have chosen a sample app named Signal, which is built for iOS. Open the mobile recorder on the tool. In this demo, I'm navigating to the initial page of the mobile app. Once I stop recording, Katalon will generate an automated script which can then be executed using the play button on any iOS simulator or a real device. So here is my sample script that has been created by the Katalon. Now click on the scripts to enter the script mode, which shows the functional flow automated using Katalon. You will notice, as default, Katalon Studio uses Groovy, a powerful optionally typed and dynamic language built on top of Java. Its syntax is Java-like, and it can be used as both programming and scripting language. Now in the script mode, we will integrate Applitools to enable visual testing of my sample app. But before, as a prerequisite, ensure you have retrieved your Applitools API key from your Applitools account and also added the eyes Appium dependency in the Gradle build as shown on the screen. For simplicity, I will make a copy of my sample automation and enable Applitools for visual testing. In the script mode, you will notice Katalon automatically imports certain default packages. In addition, add the Katalon mobile driver factory, Java Appium driver, and few Applitools packages as shown on the screen. Now, the first part is to cast the Katalon mobile driver to an Appium driver. Secondly, create the Applitools eyes object. Thirdly, open the connection to eyes by setting the app name, test name, and API keys in the eyes object. Now, in your existing test steps, insert eyes.check at each step of the functional flow as shown on the screen, and in the end, close the eyes connection. Now simply save and run the test using play button. After the automation has run, you can log in to your Applitools dashboard where you can see the automated test results of your batch. You can run the test iteratively to monitor and find visual bugs in your native application. Applitools' powerful AI will report all the bugs related to each unique page tested. This concludes our integration.
So again, this was based on some of the work we were doing with one of the customers, and they sort of wanted to leverage how the AI can help them. Now, definitely they see the value in the quality of testing that the AI delivers, and being able to test the interface in a one shot, right? But they have their existing solution like Katalon, the other one had Tosca, somebody has some other Selenium IDE. The good thing here is that we have been able to develop those solutions for the end customers where they can leverage both. They wanted to leverage their existing codeless frameworks, not discarding them, even for the limitations or the issues that they were facing. And then we are able to even increase the test coverage simply by including the visual AI. Now, visual AI will be able to address even 100% of your user interface within just one line of code, or in this case, just adding one command like eyes check. So the approach is consistent. First, you have to basically establish a connection with the server. You are basically taking allowing the command or the step to basically take a screenshot or take a snapshot of your user interface as it is being navigating from within the flow, and then allowing the AI to basically test and give you back a result on how accurate this is from your expectations. Now, we do have different algorithms which will allow you to even test for specific use cases or focus on the areas or make the AI learn about your pages. But that is something that we can go in a bit more detail later. So give or take, these two solutions show you that we can do web app testing. We can also do the native app testing and make it better through the AI. Now, there is one specific use case which I'm sure that a lot of our organizations would have faced in their, again, the challenge around testing documents, right? And specifically insurance organizations, they have a lot of documents to test and they don't find an easy way to do it. In the end, they sort of resort back to their manual testing or do a minimal of testing from what they are currently doing around the documents being sent to the customers. Now, what this again came off from the challenge that was thrown to us from one of our customers, where they wanted to automate the whole PDF and also want to utilize the AI capability to even test the layout, not just the content of the PDF. So we basically created a custom solution, leveraging the AI, which can be now integrated with any programmable language, like even the scriptless framework. It's a codeless in nature, so you can run either codelessly or you can integrate it with another framework even. So consider a scenario where you have a flow and at the end of it, you have a document being produced, right? Now, if you want to completely automate that end-to-end process, you would use one of the codeless tool or maybe a script-based framework to do that. And at the end of it, you can even hook up this codeless solution to even test your output PDF document. Now, what would such a capability or solution should address? So first of all, it should be able to address the validate the full document completely, and then again we should have the higher accuracy and reliability of such a testing, because we want to not only test for there are content which is changed, it is also to check the user experience. In terms of documents, the user experience means that the layout should be correct, everything should be positioned in the right place, and there should be the right brand, right themes, and the formatting issues should not be there, right? We want to be that accurate. So the solution should deliver that level. Now, along the same lines, there will be, requirements around dynamic assertions. In terms of documents, let's say if you have a policy document, which will be a template in your process flow, and you're generating different customer documents out of that template, you would need to test for certain text which is specific to a certain use case, right? Whether that's a similar document. So you want to be able to even test for dynamic assertions. You should be doing, again, we sort of created this as a codeless solution so that it is easier to adopt again, and something that can be either independently run by even manual testers or configured by the manual testers, or can be hooked up with a coded framework to run equally alike, right? So these are the capabilities we sort of addressed, and together we came up with a codeless PDF solution, which now will be on your screen for the demo. So let's look at how this solution works, and then we can take up some of the questions around this.
Hello everyone. In this edition, I'm going to show you how to completely automate PDF testing use case with Applitools. For those who are new to Applitools, Applitools is a visual AI-based end-to-end testing platform that can be used to automate a number of use cases ranging from web testing, mobile testing, responsive designs, functional testing, and any use case requiring automation of UI testing. Automated verification of PDFs has traditionally been a challenging task in automation. Due to this, teams would often go for automating the UI, but leaving the PDF testing in manual hands, which is error-prone. At Applitools, we believe in continuous innovation and achieving the impossible. Applitools PDF Tester is a codeless utility which allows you to automate the PDF testing of small or large documents using visual AI, and also allows validation of dynamic content in a page or a region across the page. This is a 2 pages PDF document, and we will test the entire document with also validation of content across the pages. Let's look at the test creation first. On my screen is the job config file, which needs to be created for each unique test. It is a simple XML format that can be created manually or programmatically through a script. Here, you need to provide the path of the PDF, the name of the app, the name of the test batch, Applitools API key, the test type, and the data validations. You can also specify which pages from the PDF document need to be tested. Now, let's configure test for the sample PDF document. In this example, we will try to check if the text is present in a given page, although you can also validate text within a given region on the selected pages. Here in my job configuration for this PDF, as you can see, it is very simple to provide the inputs based on the PDF document. Now, you can simply run this utility over the command line or integrate with another framework or program of your choice. Now, let's look at the test execution. As you notice, the program uses the respective job XML to run the PDF test case. Once the test is run, as always, Applitools AI will create a baseline, and then any following runs of the same test will compare against the baseline version. Logging in to the Applitools dashboard, you can see the baselines have been created in the first run. And any subsequent runs will compare against these baselines and highlight for the changes. If we go back to the command line, you will also notice that the validation have been tested on the page and results published. This result can be consumed by the automation framework to further prepare a report. Thus, you can see that we can fully automate testing of both content and layout of PDF documents, which will help ensure the accuracy of output PDFs. We can cover a number of different PDF tests using this utility. I hope
So
you have liked this.
I hope this gives you a bit of a glimpse on the PDF solution as well, which is codeless in nature, and we can talk a bit more in detail if you have more questions around it. We'll come to the Q&A in just a few minutes. But what essentially it means is that within the document, we also have the ability to not just test, okay, how the document looks and whether the content is accurate, but we are able to pinpoint in where the content should appear on the document and whether it is there or not, or it is on that page or not. So, I've seen a lot of customer communication documents being sent out from different organizations, and they had this requirement of certain elements, for example, the address appearing at a particular place in the document. Now, through this solution, you can even test to that accuracy that, yes, the content appears in the document, but at also the right place, because that's how the specifications for even the postings are from the Australia Post, for example, right? So the barcode should appear in the right place, the content or the names should appear in the right place. So this is also another use case which can be addressed in a codeless way again, but using the visual AI. So what we have sort of, again, we're coming to the end of this webinar. So I want to reiterate again, what we address a small set of things or use cases which we can be addressed through AI. Again, this is a codeless, I wanted to talk about how we have leveraged a codeless solution. So in the end, whether you take a codeless approach or a script-based approach, the way AI can help you, and the grid we have seen helping, is that it first of all stabilizes your test. So gives you a better, automated test that can be relied upon. The speed and accuracy is also another factor, because if you're considering this to be done faster in your pipelines, etc., this is a better approach to give you the faster response and checking everything easily. There is scaling itself is easier with this sort of a solution. Even from a coverage point of view, whether you are covering all parts of the functionality or not, you can at least increase the coverage from a user interface point of view, covering most of the use cases around how the particular user or particular profile interacts with your application, right? And we have seen that, again, combining these, the AI into the existing solutions, what it has delivered is the test creation has become faster. The code has become more efficient, whether it's codeless or a script, it has become more efficient. It is more stable as well, because a lot of time, people, the automation teams are struggling with the stability of the code itself. The code itself looks to be broken, and there's a lot of maintenance that is required. Now, with including the AI, you're stabilizing the test more. You don't need to recode it or change things. As you can see that we are testing almost 100% of, the user application from the screen's point of view. So we don't need to be dependent on, one particular thing. Now, you are not just testing for certain content to be present in the application, or, for example, button is present or not. You're also checking whether the button is in the right spot, whether it's in the right colors, whether it's clickable, and et cetera, et cetera. So in the end, you are covering for a lot more things, for which if you have to go either approach, it will take a lot more effort. So what we see again is when you include such sort of a solution or AI into your automation, you can catch more bugs eventually, which is again the goal of why we want to have this automation testing in the first place, right? So with that, I believe I want to now go to the questions and take up some questions. Hopefully, this has given you a little bit more understanding on how these things can be, how the solutions work in the real world. To you, Pam.
Thank you, Nikhil. We have several questions. Let me see what we have. Okay, Jeff says, I saw how Applitools was running, but I do not know what Applitools was validating.
Great. So, Jeff, thanks for asking the question. Now, as in any automation, you have an expected value, which is what you assert normally, an expected outcome, which you are typically asserting in your, in your automation tests, right? With AI, it is a little bit different. We are saying what is the what is the state of the application which is expected, right? In Applitools world, we call it as a baseline, which is a kind of a prototype, or it can be an expected state of the application at a given point of time. Now, this is a reference point for the AI. Remember that we are not, if you have seen the videos, again, you can see again in the recordings, we are not saying that this equals this. We are saying that this just tests the page. So it is asserting with a baseline, which can be, again, created in different ways. We can talk about in more detail. There are, if you have kind of design outputs, or if you have a BAU application, we can take different, baselines in different various ways into the AI. But that is kind of a reference point, which is the AI uses to basically test that what is deviated from the expected, from the in the real scenario. So in terms of what sort of things it is validating, if I've understood the later part of the question. So a UI or user interface has few things that, which is as part of the design. One is the content. So what is being shown, for example, login screen, so username, password. There could be things like functional UI validations. Those can be even tested. Again, the branding and the UI itself can be tested, which includes the colors and the contrast levels, the font sizes. Those can be, again, validated. And even the structural issues, which is the layout of the, of the document, of the application, can be tested as well. So if we do it in a traditional way, I'm sure that would require a lot more things to be considered and a lot of time to write these scripts. But what we are saying here is, even we want to address all of these things in one shot, we just simply send it off to the AI, let the AI cater for all of these things within itself using the reference point, right? So all of the type of validations will be done by the AI without you having to call it out separately.
Okay, we've had several more come in. What is the current share of visual AI in the complete automation market?
Well, so again, that's a bit difficult question to answer. I'm sure marketing teams would be saying something. I would be saying something. However, we have seen an increased adoption in the last few years. Specifically, visual testing has come a long way in this in the last 10 years. It was a relatively a newer approach in the automation world. As I said, traditional automation adheres to more coded approach where everything has to be specified. Visual testing address these concerns in a different way, visually, and more easily for the teams. So what we have seen I've been working with this organization for the last 3 years, and I have worked in software for last 15 years. And I've seen that there has been, because we want to streamline the whole automation and testing process, make it more efficient. Specifically with the agile teams, they want to deliver things faster, so they have to shrink down the whole testing time. Now, whether they have implemented this all across the board, or whether they have implemented only on the applications which are more customer focused, I've seen that most of the organizations here in APAC have warmed up to this visual testing. They've identified that testing the user experience is very important to their apps, because we have seen in COVID, everything has become more digital. So they want to be able to do this more efficiently, and they have understood that. So not in terms of percentage, but I see that most of the bigger enterprises have already, identified this as a mainstream thing to be handled in the automation. Now, as a result of this, we see a lot. We have worked with a lot more customers than the past years now. So I would say, yes, it is increasing.
Early on, someone asked, is Applitools UI testing not the unit testing?
The answer to that is no, because we are, first of all, trying to address the end-to-end testing. And if you are looking at the a testing pyramid, we are operating at the layer of UI testing, which is end-to-end testing, where the visual testing falls in place. So in terms of the unit test, usually the developers are writing those tests to address their specific features, etc. But the AI also has an element, a use case of components that can be tested visually, and that is through a storybook. So if we can directly integrate with storybooks for component testing, which is in some capacity, developers are using it for their kind of unit test. But I would say that largely the use cases we address is on falling under the end-to-end test category.
All right, here is a question that I can answer. Can we see a sample of Applitools in details? Yes, you can request a demo. I've got a slide up right now, and that we have someone in our area who'll be happy to show you Applitools in detail. All right, Hanila asks, what makes Applitools stand apart from other tools in the market?
So, thanks for asking that question. Actually, as I said before, this is the first implementation of AI. We were the kind of inventors of AI into visual testing, and hence the core differentiator itself is the AI capability, right? The accuracy of testing, because no matter what sort of testing you're doing, if it's not accurate, you're not getting the ROI. Right, so it has to be first of all the accuracy of testing, which we are saying it's 99.99% accurate. Again, the setup itself is very minimal. You can even set up in a half an hour to 1 hour time. You don't need a very a bigger adoption curve here or learnability. So depending on your maturity of the organization, whether they are completely into a coded framework, because that definitely offers more flexibility. I'm not against codeless, coded tools as well. They are there for a purpose, and they have ruled the market for a long time. Or whether they, some of the organizations have said are adopting codeless tools, or whether some of the organizations are still warming up to automation. Nearly everybody can use AI in an easy way, and that's another value that you get out of such a platform. So we have not only the AI engine, which is responsible for testing, we have the ecosystem around it, which helps you to adopt it faster, and that makes it a quick win in terms of getting your automation from wherever it is to a more efficient automation, and in turn get the ROI from it. So specifically, I see the tech startups, they are very keen because they are normally dealing with a lot of cutting edge technologies, and they want to deliver things faster to the market. And for them also, it is easier to go, adopt this and put it into their CI pipelines and deliver it faster, because they are typically delivering every day to production, right? Compared to bigger enterprises. So in a short, to cut it short, I think the core differentiator is the AI, but the ecosystem itself is where we are able to address native apps, we are able to web apps, we are doing documents, we are doing localization testing, accessibility testing. So a number of use cases can be also addressed through the same technology. And that's what differentiates it.
Thank you, Hanela, for that question. There's also a link in the box on the upper right corner where you can explore the platform. A quick link to jump to that page and see some of the things that Nikhil was talking about. Okay, the only other question I saw was, is Applitools open source? And I answered that and said that it is not, but we do have a free forever account, and there is a link on, again, the left side of your screen. I will highlight that for you. Nikhil, is there anything else you'd like to add around the open source or even the free accounts?
Oh, definitely. I guess it's a good way to understand a bit more about how the AI works. We even have tutorials there. We are very well documented, at least from the organizations I work with. I see, again, not boasting about Applitools, but the organization had a very customer-focused approach when I joined, and that's what I liked about Applitools, to be able to solve the problems for the customers and to be able to educate them equally alike. So there is a lot of documentation out there, which is easy to access. You can simply visit our tutorials, download a sample application, and see it for yourself. So even if you open a free account, you can download whichever framework you like or have experience, and just simply see that the approach is still consistent. What I've talked even today on the Codeless, the approach is still consistent. It is about being able to navigate and being able to integrate it with the AI, where the AI does the testing and sends you back some results. And that would allow the teams, or even even the whole team, to work on the delivery side and focus on what is being, how the application is changing, how they are delivered, and how to make it better. Yeah, and even get feedback. So there's a lot of integration as well, which we have not addressed in this webinar. But if anyone wants to have a specific demo, we can show how it also can integrate with all the DevOps tools. So as I said, there is a whole ecosystem that has been built around this.
I see one more question, if you can stick around for just another minute.
No problem.
Not all organizations would have the dev code standards defined. How do these apps handle such scenarios?
So again, that's where the Codeless tools are gaining some market, isn't it? So you're right. Not every organization has the dev standards defined. There is best practices to be followed. Again, depending on maturity, they are creating their applications in certain ways. But with respect to, again, I'm addressing more in terms of how we test those sort of applications which are not test standards followed. Still, the AI again is kind of agnostic to the underlying technology, where the way application is built in, and because it's visually validating everything, it also allows you to be more be code independent of what is to be tested. You can even focus on the entire page, and instead of testing only for specific things which might consider comprise of 10% of the page, you will test everything. Now if you're testing for the unknowns, obviously you will find more unknown defects that could have eventually cropped up in your later environments, right? So I think whether the applications have been developed consistently or across different technologies, the AI itself is able to address all of those. So, and in those cases, I think Codeless again offers a bit more, because they have they have different approaches to how they identify elements and how they navigate within those applications, right? So that is also addressed there, Codeless.
Okay, well, I think that is all we have time for today. Thank you, Nikhil, for a great session. I want to thank everyone who joined us today. As I mentioned before, all registrants will receive a link to the recording and to the session materials late tomorrow. And finally, before you leave, we encourage you to provide your feedback on today's presentations by completing the survey. You'll see the check mark on the toolbar at the bottom of your screen, and we appreciate your feedback. Again, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you at a future event.